Hubhopper Originals.
To start your podcast for free, log on to studio.hubhopper.com.
I mean, what is left in the world that has not been done by somebody else already? Which industry is there in this world right now that is not over cluttered, where there are not enough competitors who are charging a pittance for the same service that you maybe want to charge a lot for? There's always going to be competition. There are always going to be hundreds who have already done this before you, but the way you will do it will always be different because you are a unique person. So I mean, I would, whosoever wants to stop it, don't I mean, I don't even remember which movie this was, but I remember it was Irfan Khan, and he was telling this to his co-actor that if you don't get out of the house, how will you know whether there's traffic on the road or not, or whether you can reach your destination or not? So if you don't even try, and if you give up before the journey has begun, then how will you even know whether you were worthy of it or not?
Hello and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast, where we share hot tips on how to do life and business without losing your mind. I'm your host, Savita Nanjappa, entrepreneur, high-achieving 9-to-5er turned transformational success coach, helping you create a wildly successful business. Come hang out with me and other fabulous humans like you every week for stories and chats packed with a healthy dose of tips, resources, how-tos, and real talk. Side effects may include a happier and more confident you with each passing day. Hi and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast. Joining me today is Sujata Setia, who is an amazingly talented photographer, and I can spend hours looking at her images. And I hope someday I will be lucky to be able to have her shoot some of my family's pictures and my child's pictures as well. With that, let me introduce to you my guest today on the show. Sujata is an internationally renowned and published storytelling photographer based in the UK. She's also the first ever baby photographer of Indian descent to represent the country in global summits such as Click Family Conference in Brazil, Family F in Spain, Congreso Smile in Argentina, Baby and Kid Romania, and Portugal, to name a few. For the past 7 years, Sujata has traveled globally to 20 plus countries to teach photography to over 3,000 plus students and still continues to educate and contribute to the collective growth of this industry. Sujata has set countless trends in the photography world with her images and unique visual language. She is well known world over for being the first photographer to bring babies and furry animals into a single frame to create remarkably heartwarming images. And her Generation series, capturing the undying love between elderly couples and that of grandparents and grandchildren, has gone viral globally. Her works are often compared with Norman Rockwell's illustrations, and if you are looking at them right now, you might confuse them to be paintings. Sujata is also professor of photography at EFTI, one of Europe's premier photography institutes based in Spain. She's also the jury for many international photography awards. Her works have been published in Forbes, Huffington Post, CNN, The Daily Mail, ABC News, New York Post, Times Now, The Hindu, Mumbai Mirror, BuzzFeed, Vanity Fair, and Good Housekeeping magazine, to name a few. As an artist, Sujata takes the everyday, the ordinary, and creates something magical with it. The assurance with which a new mother holds her firstborn, the tenderness that permeates a long relationship, the carefree way in which a child interacts with nature. Her photographs evoke an instant response and connection in the viewer. With patrons such as Vanessa Bryant, Adriana Lima, and HuffPost, to name a few, Sujata's works enjoy a dedicated social media engagement from over 250k plus followers. Join me as I talk to Sujata about her journey so far, how she got started, and her advice to budding photographers. Hi, and welcome to the Success with Savita podcast. Joining me today is Sujata Setia. I hope I got that correct, the surname.
You did.
Okay. Joining me today is Sujata Setia, who I deeply admire, and I was shocked that I hadn't found her pictures prior to this. And when I did, I spent so many hours on your Instagram page just looking at it. So Sujata, thank you for making time to be here. She's multi-talented, and we are very grateful to have her here on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here, Savita. I'm so excited. I've been waiting to speak with you. So thanks a lot.
Yeah, you're welcome. And with that, we'll dive right in we'll get started with how you started your journey and what brings you to photography. You had a very interesting journey so far. So please share with us how you got started.
It's been very funny. It's almost like somebody threw photography in my lap right at the time when I really, really needed it. So I'm Indian and I live in the UK now. I got married and moved here. But before that, back in India, I was a radio jockey. And then I was also a television presenter, a television producer,
Mhm.
and a script writer. And, I was really dabbling into media essentially. I produced IPL as well, once, extra shots. So,
Wow.
I mean, I was doing the kind of stuff that had nothing to do with photography. And then love happened. I fell in
Mm,
love with my husband, and he was based in UK. And I had this strange, funny confidence that wherever I would go in the world, I would just conquer the world. And back in India, what the funny thing is, at least in my times, it's been a decade since then, or decade or more,
mm,
you really did not need a CV, you did not need a
mm,
cover letter. It was more about networking. It was more about just knowing the people around you and,
mm,
exchanging energy and then finding your right opportunity. And here I moved to UK where everything is extremely formal.
mhm.
So I started looking for internships, didn't get any, started looking for like literally free jobs. I will pay for my travel, I'll pay for my food. Nobody gave me a job, and then I did my masters here. That didn't help either. So that sort of threw me into a depression from which I felt like I would not
Mm,
ever resurface, because the one thing that held me together back in India was the fact that I was creating my own foundation. I was the person who made money for myself. I could,
mm,
and take care of my mother, which was just very, very important to me, my mother, and even my father to a certain extent. I mean, I wanted to be there for them.
yeah,
And here, you come and then you're entirely dependent on your partner, and you don't want to do that. So
yeah,
not only did it spoil my relationship with him, and without any fault of his,
yeah.
uh, but also my relationship with myself.
Mm.
And funnily, it's a long story, please cut me
Of
short. If
course,
you
we
want.
love long stories, so don't worry about it.
So, I mean, funnily, I was going through this really strong bout of depression, and we went back to India, back and forth, because I couldn't afford a therapist here. Therapists are so expensive, so I would just keep going back to India to get therapy sessions. And one of the therapists in a very, very established hospital in India, a psychologist, she said, I have a bipolar disorder, and
Mm.
she prescribed me medication for it.
Okay.
And that's the time when my mother fell terminally ill. A friend told me, have a child, it will solve all your problems, it will give you a purpose in life.
Mm-hmm.
So there
Yeah.
were so many noises coming from all directions, and I thought maybe that seems to be very a quick solution. So I just put my husband to work that night and I got pregnant.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, okay.
A beautiful daughter was born after 9 months, and I mean, I was so grateful for that fact. But at the same time, I felt like now there is no running away. You can't
Mm,
run away from circumstances, you can't hide from them. And I knew I can only go down with this. And I
mm,
didn't want to do that to my daughter, especially. And uh, so I don't know why, but at some point, my husband, during our first few years of our marriage, had gifted me a camera. It was an amateur camera, and I started taking pictures of just our holidays with that camera. And
mm-hmm.
then when my daughter was born, I just re ignited that relationship with the camera, and I started taking photographs of her. And I would post them on Facebook just like that. And people would message me, friends would message me saying, "Oh my God, you take such great pictures. Can you take photos of us?" And I was like, okay, there's nothing to lose in this. So one day I just literally sat down, and I had my bipolar medication right next to me, and I told myself that there's only this way or that way for me. Either I go down with my depression,
Mm,
or I take action.
mm,
So that's what I did. I opened a Facebook page and I just posted whatever pictures I had taken of my family,
mm-hmm.
and I just started saying that I'm offering photo shoots to families.
Wow. And
That's it.
all this without formal training.
Absolutely no training. Yes.
See, this is inborn talent because today you teach. That's what. I read. So this is so awesome. And I resonate with you so much because there was a time before my daughter was born that I was going through depression. And the day she was born, I told myself that I'm never going to have these thoughts again. And so you started your photography at that time. When did you know that you wanted to do this full time? Was it immediately, or it took some time for you to find your feet and get started, get your clients?
Unfortunately, Savita, I did not give myself a choice
Mm,
because I needed to, much as it was my passion. I mean, I have always been an extremely creative person. So deep down, I always knew that creativity is what is going to be my profession as well,
mm,
what will fuel my profession as well. But at the same time, I also needed the money in the bank. Like I told you, I mean, that was one
yeah,
of the reasons why depression hit me.
yeah,
So it wasn't by choice. It was by circumstances that I had to take on photography
full
full
time.
blown. But at the same time, because I had a little baby,
Mm,
it wasn't like I was doing a lot of shoots. I had the good thing about running your own business is you can always manage your time.
yeah, yeah, that's true. And what do you remember about your first client photo shoot?
My incidences are very very funny. I came from such a dark place in my life, and the desperation to find that that one stream of light was so much
Mm,
that I pretty much went to any extent to get that first client. So
okay.
uh, funny thing here was, I mean, even if you charge a pittance, uh, the best thing I realized, to be able to find your very first client when you're doing a business is to connect with the cultural values.
Mm,
So when
mm,
I was looking for my first client, I was looking for an Indian living in UK.
okay.
I cannot imagine a British
Person. Hmm.
would becoming my first client. So I started looking for Indians. Now the thing with us is that we like to get it cheap,
Yeah,
and we also like to get a lot of it,
work
of
done.
like
Yeah.
best service but really really cheap. So I remember people would I started posting on different Facebook groups with photographs of my daughter, and I started taking pictures of my daughter and my dog as well, and I started posting it. And people would message me saying, hey, so do you do a maternity shoot? My maternity shoot, a pregnancy shoot was my very
Yeah.
first client. So she came to me and she said, and I still remember her name. She said, do you do maternity shoot? And I said, yes, I do maternity shoots. I've done a lot. So she said, okay, so do you have any samples to show me? So
Mm,
I got stuck there because I have no samples and I didn't want to do a free job for anybody. I wanted money at that time. So I just
yeah.
told her, you know what? I really like to keep the privacy of my clients
Mm-hmm.
intact.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter what, I know I've done a lot of photo shoots, a lot of maternity photo shoots, but unfortunately, because of their privacy conditions, I cannot show you the
Post it.
images.
Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
trust me, you've seen all my other work on my page, so you know what is the standard of my work, and that's how I started getting my first, second, and third client. In a variety of fields in family photography itself. So yeah.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now. Stay tuned as we take a quick break, and we'll see you on the other side of the show. It also means that you took the effort to put yourself out there and make it happen for you. So, what's your process when you plan a shoot? Is there like a process that you follow? I want to dive into that a little bit for anyone who's listening in as a photographer.
Definitely. Process is very, very important, Savita. In fact, I see photography as much from my heart as I see it from my mind. I always tell my students as well, it is as much an art as it is a science. You've got to
Mm,
really break it down. You've got to break human emotions down as well. It's almost like when you're doing marketing,
mm,
you're looking at the client's psychology. At the same time, you're also looking at the analysis of the numbers that are coming to you, right?
yeah, yeah.
So when I'm creating, when I'm planning to get into doing a project, I first decide what is the emotion that I want to work towards.
Mm,
Once I have decided the emotion, I
mm-hmm,
write down on with pen and paper a narrative around it. I write the story down on pen and paper,
mm,
and I write the captions that I would
okay,
want to go with the images,
okay.
because writing down your story in one single statement or one poetic statement gives you the entire vision. So I
Okay.
would write it down, and then I would start deciding what are the kind of models or the subjects that are going to fit my narrative. That is
Mm,
when I start doing the model call. Once I've done the model call, I've selected the location based on the story that I have to create. I've decided the light or the time of the day when I want to do that shoot. I go to the location with everything ready, with my shots written down.
Mm.
Because when you're doing a photo shoot, especially with people like me, photographers like me, who are working with children and are working with animals and are working in open nature, everything is such a variable,
Yeah.
weather will change, children will start crying,
Mm.
animals will run away. So you've got to have something that's a constant, and the
Mm.
constant is going to be your narrative. Once
Mm.
you've got your story right, you
Yeah.
place your subjects in the framework of that story, and then allow for magic to happen naturally.
Mm.
Sometimes, I go with a storyboard in my head. I've written it all down and I place my subjects there, but they come up with an absolutely new narrative.
Mm.
And I accept that with open arms. But if you're going with a blank page, if you're going
Okay.
with no idea in your mind, you will never get a winner image. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's my process.
Amazing. And do you think your past experience has helped you in this new role in photography?
Yes, every experience in my life has helped me in photography. I mean, not only my personal experiences, my childhood and growing up, but also my experience as working in television
Yeah.
production, working in radio, and writing scripts. Everything has contributed to how I look at photography. Working in
Yeah.
television gives you a visual sense.
Mm.
Working in radio gives you an understanding of what your customer or your consumer wants, and
Yeah.
what emotion is it that you want to pass on to them. Working in content writing tells you how to write down your narrative.
Mm.
So everything adds value to what I'm doing now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think because when you're saying you do the storyboard, someone like me wouldn't be able to do any storyboard, right? I would have been stand and click. But also, I think it comes and all of these experiences put together brings out that beautiful imagery that you are creating. And so, what happened next? So, you started off with your clients, and then you've been featured like everywhere, right? So, did that happen organically, or you did have to do some marketing? What went into the making and growing of your brand?
I remember the very first time I was, like I said, I mean, I did not come out of my dark space immediately after becoming a photographer, because even though it became my passion very, very quickly, unfortunately, it also became my profession at the same time, and when you have to
Mm,
balance your love and money,
yeah.
it's a very difficult balance to take care of. So it wasn't like I jumped out of my
Yeah.
darkness. I was still addressing it as I was taking pictures, and I was
Hmm.
continuously only taking pictures of clients. So
Yeah.
that did not help me emotionally either, because your clients are not your perfect uh, uh,
Ideal client.
but I mean, it's
Yeah.
not, they
Or
don't fit in your perfect vision.
mm,
In your
mm,
perfect magical world, your client is not what would fit. So I kept questioning myself, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I want to do to address my emotional needs through my art? And
mm,
that's when I started photographing my daughter and my dog. That was my very first series.
mm,
A series that I did only for myself,
mm,
for no purpose. I did not know what am I going to do with it, whether I will promote it or not. No idea. I just started looking at my daughter and my dog Mustang, and I saw the relationship they had together. And then I orchestrated the same moments in the perfect light and started photographing it. Once I started doing that, I created a post, and it all organically happened. Sometimes marketing is such a beautiful thing that sometimes the things that you do without actually thinking that you're
mm.
doing them just blow out you
Yeah.
know so I posted all those images together on my Facebook page, business page, and I, for the very first time, felt like now I can talk. Now I feel like my voice has come back when I
Okay.
looked at the cluster of those images. And for the very first time, I came out and open about my depression. So I
Mm,
just wrote about how, when I was going through such a severe depression, that when my daughter was born, the very first thing that the doctors do is skin to skin. They
yeah.
pass on the child to you and they want you to hold the child to your skin. And the moment they gave the child to me, I said, take it away. I don't want the
Mm,
child, because I was so deep in the throes of that darkness. So I wrote about it, and I said, this is how I'm coming out of it. I see light now because my art has become my healing process.
mm,
And when I wrote that narrative, it just went viral, and I started receiving phone calls from all over the international media to give an interview for that. Now, ever since then, what I've learned about marketing is that to tell a story is such a great way of marketing yourself. I mean, you don't need to go so deep into your own narrative. Maybe you want to keep it a little bit on the surface, but the deeper you go as an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
the more you will connect with your audiences, and the more are your chances to organically go viral. I mean, you don't even need to then work hard towards it.
Yeah.
So that
Amazing.
was one learning, and the other
Yeah.
learning was doing your own personal projects. So creating always art that is true to you, and when you post that, huge possibility of it going viral.
Yeah, I think that's really important what you're sharing, and I hear you share. So yeah, wonderful hearing your story so far. And just when you realize you want to interview someone, and then there's so many layers to that person, and slowly as you share your story, there's so much resonance. So coming back to photography, you chosen to do child, maternity, family photography. Has having a niche helped you? Do you think you'll ever do other like weddings and maybe brand photography, or maybe do you already do it, but this is the main thing?
Funnily, I started from doing everything. Anything
Okay.
that came to me, I started doing it. So, I mean, I started by covering weddings, Indian, Russian, British, you name it. Whatever I got, I just started doing it, birthday parties, mundans,
Mm,
you name it, brand shoots. And then slowly and gradually is when I started. So that's what I would always advise, aspirant photographers as well, that don't come and pinpoint on a niche straight away.
okay.
Always try your hand at a variety of things and then see what sings to your heart most, because it takes a while for you to always also understand that what is your language, what is your visual language. So that came with time. I am now only focusing on one form of or one genre of photography, and that is also evolving with time. As I evolve as a person, my
True.
genre will change as well.
True.
So
True.
you never know. Maybe tomorrow, when it's time for my daughter to get married, I will get into wedding photography simply because my circumstances and I myself as a person would have changed.
True.
Never say never.
And I want to ask you here at this time. So when you started out, you did everything, and then at some point you started teaching as well. How did that happen?
That again was such an organic move. I never thought I would do that, but I have always believed to be a loudmouth. I'm like my biggest evangelist, and I feel like as an entrepreneur, especially as an artist, the biggest mistake we make is that we become very shy, very introvert, and very inward looking only towards our art. And we feel like once I've created it, that is
Mm,
it, that's enough. But in the age of social media, how important it is for you to put your art out there and make sure it actually reaches out the right audiences is even more important than creating that art. So that's one thing that I always did from the beginning. I would always, create images no matter how bad they were. I remember right in the beginning, I mean, the kind of work I created, I look back at it and it's shocking.
we,
And, but I was
I,
shameless,
yeah,
as
I
a
know we all think that, right? I don't know that first video, that first audio. It's like, God, what was I thinking? Okay, so keep going.
So yeah, I mean, so as a marketer, one thing which was that I took care of was to be shameless, completely unhindered, unhinged in promoting myself. So I used to continuously keep promoting on different Facebook groups. What
Mm,
that did was slowly and gradually, many a times people hated my work, commented, wrote very nasty comments, and I was like, damn you. I mean, I don't care. Sorry for my French, but
that's
uh,
okay.
and then I would keep posting images, keep posting. Eventually there came a time when my work started to get better, and people over and over and over again started sending me messages saying, hi, are you conducting classes? Do you
Mm,
teach your style of photography? And then there I saw a market, I saw another market, and so I just introduced a workshop, and it sold out in a few hours, and I was like, okay, that is interesting. And another learning from there is that never skew your own market. Never say to yourself that my clients are only going to be families or mothers who are trying to get a family photo shoot done, or a
yeah.
maternity or a newborn shoot done. Always promote everywhere without thinking, without compartmentalizing your own audiences. And you never know where your client market would be sitting and which vertical you will move to. So yeah, that's where workshops started, and now that's my main business actually.
Oh, you teach a lot workshops,
Yeah.
and okay, amazing. And I think I agree with you here when you say you have to try different markets because you don't know what's going to where your audiences are.
Yeah.
And I know we talk so much, especially in the business world, about target market fit, product market fit, where's your target audience. So, I mean, what you're saying is very refreshing. With that, I do want to ask you, what have you learned about the business of photography that you didn't know before?
That's a very good question, Savita. And there are so many things I didn't know. On a very emotional level, I didn't know how important it is or how alienating that this industry is. Or for
Mm,
example, being an entrepreneur is just like you're just sitting inside a box and you have to think outside of it, but you're
mm,
all alone in there, you know. So the most important thing that I did not know was that it's going to be very lonely, and the higher up you get go, it gets lonelier. So to build your own tribe on an
yeah,
emotional level is extremely important to sustain this business.
right.
That is one thing nobody told me about, and I learned it very late and the hard way. So building that trust, building a community, and doing it in a cohesive manner, believing truly that there is enough space for everyone in the world to thrive, you know, no
Mm,
competition. And the
mm,
second thing on a very practical level was the advice around how to price your product, how to price your services, how to be prepared for success, because
mm,
success can hit you at any time. And if you're
true.
not prepared for it, it will actually spiral down at double the speed, you know. So being prepared for success, knowing your numbers, writing them down, knowing all your legal work, writing it down, these are the things nobody told me about. And
Mm.
I'd love for anybody who's starting off to actually have a guide to it.
Such amazing advice. I just hear myself saying, I mean, I just need to keep nodding along because I agree with you. Yes, have a tribe. Yes. And I think this is something interesting because we're all chasing success. We want it. But like you said, prepare for it.
Yeah.
I think often people are not able to prepare for it because they're not yet visioning themselves
Yeah.
becoming successes. But with that, I want to ask you, what's your advice to someone who wants to go from being an amateur or photographer to a professional photographer?
Quite a lot of things, yeah. Make sure that you are investing in
Mm,
learning. It's very
mm,
important. It's not like I became a photographer overnight. I mean, the mistakes that I made, I corrected them by actually attending training with the photographers that I aspire to be like, you know.
mhm,
So invest in learning. Learning is very important. And second, keep practicing and keep creating projects that are based on a theme, are based on a concept, and that are coming from a very deeper space in your heart, something that's very close to you. Start creating them, start posting them on social media. The more you do that, the more you will fine tune your own visual voice.
yeah, yes. And what have you observed about women in photography? I mean, there are very few women, so we kind of know them, or maybe the ones that maybe I haven't done enough research. But what have you observed about female photographers?
You know, in my genre, in family, newborn, and maternity photography, there are actually only women. So the few men that we have, we just wonder where did they come from, you know.
Okay.
So we have a lot of women in this genre, a little fewer in wedding photography maybe. But I just hope and pray, not an observation, they are great photographers. Women have a heart.
Yeah,
They are inherently very emotionally attached to the work that they do, so they produce beautiful, impactful work. They tell stories that nobody else can tell, you know.
true.
And that is incredible about being a woman. That's the power of being a woman. And my only wish and hope for us as women is that we really start working cohesively. That's something that I do feel at this stage is missing in the industry. And
Mm.
we really start, you know, fixing each other's crowns. So yeah, these are my two
I love
observations.
it. I love fixing each other's crowns. I think, yeah, we talk about women supporting women, but we need to do a lot of that. Um, and I think you kind of answered the other question that I had, which is how do you hone your skills and practice your art? Like you said, you invest in learning. And is that something that you do consciously, or does it just like it just happens? Is there like a, like, what I mean is, let me rephrase, is there like a plan, like in a week there's like 2 hours that you're spending learning or improving on something, or how do you approach growing your own skill sets?
COVID unfortunately has put the plans
Yeah,
for all of us on the
don't
back
tell
burner,
me.
so I have stopped planning. But learning is for me an everyday process. I mean, and funnily now, I mean, my work is all about learning, because I teach photography. So
Yes.
whatever I know, I teach. But the time that I have on me, I just do work for myself. So when I'm working for myself, when I'm creating projects and stories for myself, I'm continuously learning. I
Mm.
learn from my students, and I also pay and make sure that I attend classes and workshops and master classes to be able to upgrade my skills as well.
Okay.
Because the moment you become stagnant, that's the moment your art dies.
True, true, absolutely true. And I can't agree with you more there, being in coaching, of course. But with that, a day in your life, what does a day in your life look like?
I am so many people at the same time, Savita. In 5 minutes, I become five different people. I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm a homemaker, I'm a photographer. And especially here in the UK, we don't even have any help in here. So I am a cleaner as well.
Yeah.
So every day is different. If I have a photo shoot, I start planning a day or two in advance. Like I have one once I come back. So I have already started planning because I need to
Have prep
go
time.
at the holiday. Yeah. So yeah, I wake up at 5:30. That's for sure. Always. I do my morning chores. I have my coffee. Can't
Mm-hmm.
wake up without coffee and water. And then I sit down on the computer. I answer all the emails first thing in the morning. That's my usual time to answer all the emails. Then I send off my daughter to school. Then I clean the house. I
Yeah.
sit down again, start editing if I have to. If that's an editing day, it's an editing day. And if it is a shoot day, then I quickly pack everything or set up everything and go off for my shoot. And then evening, my daughter comes back. So like
Okay.
a really
So
tight.
yeah, I know you have a lot to pack in, and yes, having no help. That's the only great thing about being in India. I mean, not only great thing. Let me rephrase that. That there are a lot of great things. I need to edit this one for sure. But yes, those are one of the perks of being here. And finally, as we come to the end of the interview, which has been amazing so far, what is your advice? Like, have you had any moments of doubt during this? As you started your photography, where you felt like I can't do this or I don't want to do this. I know you said that you made a choice, that this was it. But did you have doubts?
Always,
Okay.
always. Unfortunately, I am just a one. As women, like I said, we love too much, we give too much, and so we get attached too much, and
Mm,
that's a big hazard. Yeah, when you're in the creative field, you get too attached to your art, and then if somebody questions it, it worries you too much. It makes you question yourself as well. So not only as women, as even as a creative personality, it is the hazard of our profession. So I continuously also tell my students, that self doubt is just part of our body. I mean, it's like a limb for me.
yeah.
And I am always questioning myself. I'm always questioning whether I belong here, whether
Mm,
I'm doing the right thing, whether I deserve this.
mm,
Uh, and I have slowly learned to take it in the stride. I've slowly learned to tell myself that this is how it's going to be, and I doubt myself so much because I care just as much for the art. So I should
yes.
take this doubt and self questioning in a positive stride instead of making it become a negative streak.
Yeah. So that's a good way. That's something that even I recommend. Ask better questions. So, of course, that was only part of the question. The real question was your advice to someone who feels I shouldn't do, because there's so many. Everyone's like either there are a lot of people in photography. So what is your advice for someone who feels maybe I shouldn't do this because everyone's already done everything there is to do, or there's so many, or the competition is too much? What's your advice or tip for them to deal with this?
I mean, what is left in the world that has not been done by somebody else already? Which industry is there in this world right now that is not over cluttered, where there are not enough competitors who are charging a pittance for the same service that you maybe want to charge a lot for? There's always going to be competition. There are always going to be hundreds who have already done this before you. But the way you will do it will always be different because you are a unique person. So I mean, I would, whosoever wants to stop it, don't I mean, I don't even remember which movie this was, but I remember it was Irfan Khan, and he was telling this to his co-actor that if you don't get out of the house, how will you know whether there's traffic on the road or not, or whether you can reach your destination or not? So if you don't even try, and if you give up before the journey has begun, then how will you even know whether you were worthy of it or not? So yeah,
Beautiful.
go ahead and do it.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. That was amazing advice. And so far, it's been such an amazing conversation. I feel like there's so much more to get through, but I know I can't keep you on the interview for long. With that, thank you so much for making time, for being here. And for people to sign up to your workshops, I'll share the website link. It's But Natural Photography. Is that where, or do you have a different link?
Yes. It is butnaturalphotography.com.
Okay, great. So people can find you for workshops or book you for photographs or just admire your beautiful images on your social media. And with that, thank you so much, Sujata. It's been lovely to hear your journey and how you've overcome so many challenges that you've had, and appreciate you sharing this time and story with me. Thank you for listening to the podcast. If you like this episode and you want more, you can go to the show notes on my website, which is successwithsavita.com/podcast. If you like what you've heard so far, I would be grateful to you if you could leave me a 5-star review, subscribe to this podcast, and share with a friend who may find this useful. You can also follow me on my Instagram @successwithsavita and DM me any questions you may have, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Until the next episode, believe in yourself and all the best to your success.
इस हब हॉपर ओरिजिनल को सुनने के लिए आपका शुक्रिया। अगर आप भी अपना पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करना चाहते हैं तो हब हॉपर स्टूडियो वेबसाइट पे रजिस्टर करें और 1 मिनट के अंदर अंदर अपना खुद का पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करें। यही नहीं, स्टूडियो देता है आपको पूरी आजादी कहीं भी कभी भी अपना पॉडकास्ट लॉन्च करने की, सिर्फ 3 आसान स्टेप्स में। तो साथ में अपना पॉडकास्ट शुरू करने के लिए तैयार? जस्ट हॉप ऑन हब हॉपर, सिंपली कंटेंट।